Hi, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Brent Dodge, and I have with me Gary Gales, a physical therapist at Alpine Physical Therapy, to discuss today the physical therapist approach to balance. Gary, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Gary, here at Alpine, we see a lot of people that come in with balance, perhaps dizziness, complaints. What's your approach to these folks early on when you have somebody with that complaint?
Well, what we like to do is try to figure out what is causing the problem. And sometimes it might be an inner ear issue. Sometimes it might be lack of balance because they've had an injury to a lower extremity, ankle, hip, knee, something like that, and they've never actually gotten their balance back, even though they are now maybe a year past that injury.
Excellent. What are some ways that you would help somebody once you've discovered, hey, this is a middle ear issue, or this is related to another type of injury, like perhaps a back injury, and now they're suffering some balance disorder? How do you go about helping those people?
Well, if it's inner ear, we would look at some habituation exercises where they could do on their own to retrain their brain to increase their balance. As people age, they start to lose these neurological connections. So balance is starting to go anyway. It's a natural phenomenon. Everybody over the age of 45 should be working on their balance. So I'm just going to give them more exercise to do that will improve their balance.
Okay. And now if you've got somebody, for example, that's had a bad bout of, let's say, back or hip pain, and through your exam you find they have lost some of their balance, what might you be doing to help that person?
I will probably get them maybe standing in a corner that we'll see later with the tip of the day, walking the line, backwards walking, forwards walking, walking on uneven surfaces, something that's going to challenge their balance. And when you challenge a system, you will improve it.
You know, one of my biggest concerns is that in our aging population, balance problems can sneak up on them to the point that they're just not as active as they used to be, and the problems associated with that, they can just begin to lose function. Is there any recommendation that you might have for those people if they're considering that maybe their balance isn't so good, like what choices they could make or what steps they might make?
Well, they could first look and see what activities they're doing, and if they're starting to lose their balance, starting to fall, or not even fall, but just not as steady as they were, and then they need to address that fact. They need to come in and see us, and we'll evaluate that, and then from there we can design a program that'll work for them.
And Gary, one of the things I found, particularly working with an aging population of golfers, is the profound effect that problems with balance have on sport. And one of the things I've been discovering through this whole program is that if you can address not only the balance piece, but also specific strength, that balance seems to come around that way too. Have you been finding that true in other populations of people?
Exactly. Not only with sport, but say people with back pain or something like that. Now their balance is going to be off because the muscles aren't kicking in enough at their back to support it at the right time. So that population would need to work on their balance as well as their strength and their postural strategies.
Excellent. And thinking about this, it doesn't seem like improving balance is a huge undertaking. That there are some strategies people can use that are simple, that can be guided by a physical therapist and eventually turn into kind of a home program per se. What are your thoughts on that?
Exactly, and it can be tailored to the individual. As we age, we tend to stop doing things, and that's when our balance starts to go downhill. But there are a huge number of activities people can participate in. It might be in the pool, it might be with Tai Chi or yoga or Pilates, or maybe they just need to get out and walk the mall and join strategies like that. But hiking in the Bitterroot or at Blue Mountain area would be excellent examples of balance. So all of those strategies will work, but it has to kind of work into the individual's lifestyle and what they like to do. I
think with our aging population, people want to be active. The problem is when balance really impacts them, they start to do less, and I've heard of this downward spiral to the point that people, they won't go out, they won't do their activities because they're fearful now. And it seems like those are the people we can really help the most. But the problem is if those problems aren't dealt with, there's a potential for that person then to, fall down, break a hip. And we know that the statistics for people who actually fracture a hip in those golden years, oftentimes they don't live past that 3-month or 6-month mark. And those are the people I'm really hoping that we can help the most. If we can catch them in their 50s, 60s, 70s, get them on a program, build that strength, build that balance from the standpoint of longevity. And I think we're really hitting on the key of that. So, Gary, I really appreciate you being here today and sharing that information for our viewers. And I want you to stay tuned right now. We'll be back in a moment for the tip of the day.
This is the tip of the day for balance. To check your balance, find a corner of your house, or you can use the kitchen counter. Take your feet one behind the other, just like you're walking the line. If you ever got a traffic stop. Then have your hands close to the wall with a chair in front of you. And then see if you can balance that way, looking straight ahead, fixing on an object. Now, if that's easy, that means your balance is pretty fair. You want to try that with both legs. But if that's difficult, this is going to be your exercise to improve your balance, is to work on this for 1 minute to 2 minutes in each direction. Now, to progress this, what you can do is start to turn your head. So back and forth like this. And this should be a little more challenging. And if that is easy, your balance is moderate to excellent. And so you want to go to closing your eyes and looking straight ahead, closing your eyes, and then working with that. And all those positions will be great for improving your balance. And that is the tip of the day.
Thank you again for joining us with this podcast on the topic of balance and the physical therapist approach to balance. Certainly happy to have had Gary Gales, physical therapist at Alpine Physical Therapy, with us today. If you have any more questions about balance disorders, be sure to visit our website at www.alpineptmissoula.com or call us at our South Clinic here at the Peak Health and Wellness Center at 251-2323.